All right. Welcome back to the room, friends. Okay, we're going to be diving into time freedom. And this is building your life and business and synergy. For those of you who don't know, synergy really just means everything flows together. I have a background in Six Sigma, which is like a lean process improvement certification program, and you can have a yellow belt, green belt, and black belt. So I have my green belt in that, and I love process improvement. I love making things simple and putting things in order so that everything works together. One of the things as I was learning how to build a business, growing in my network marketing business, was that I found myself burnout, feeling resentful, feeling frustrated, feeling overwhelmed, because I was constantly saying yes to things that were not for me, that were not ultimately serving me, and that were not in alignment with my core values. And so that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, is how to build your life and business in synergy, in alignment with your core values. And that is so important, because when you're working, not only from your worth, from your divine identity and authority, but then you're also working in alignment with the things that you innately value to the core of who you are, then things are going to flow together instead of be in conflict with each other. You're also going to have and be empowered and equipped to say yes to things that are for you and say no to things that are not for you. Even though they may look good and they may be good opportunities, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're God opportunities and that they're for you and your next right step. So I call mine core values the 5 F's. It's beautiful for coaching, right? But you can name them whatever you want. It's really just identifying what are your top core values or buckets that everything kind of flows from. So for me, it's my faith, my family, my fitness, my finances, and fun, because I needed a 5th F, right? So like faith for me, right, is like that relationship building time with God, going to church with my family, maybe doing Bible stories with Elijah. It's everything that encompasses my faith, my relationship with God. Then family encompasses being a mom, being a wife, date nights, family vacations, those types of things. Fitness is all things health and well-being. So like exercising, eating right, taking supplements, all of those priorities that fall into that. Finances, I encompass with my business finances, my personal finances, and just stewardship in that area. And then fun, I think I look at fun as like, okay, girls' nights, maybe doing a conference or something, anything that's just like fun, going on a walk, going to a concert. My husband and I were going to a concert next Tuesday. So that's kind of how I picked my buckets. And once, in order to identify what are your core values, this is what helped me. When you think back over decisions that you've made, things you've said yes to, did you also say no to something else? And did that saying no hurt? Did it cause a feeling of resentment? Did it cause burnout or exhaustion? Did it cause some frustration or internal conflict because you said yes to something else, but by saying yes to that, you were also saying no to something that was important to you? So when I was coming up with my core values, I was looking at some of the relationships. So I'm definitely a recovering people pleaser. I was raised on. I had to perform a certain way to feel loved or liked or accepted. And I had to say yes to please people, even if it meant saying no to what really was important to me. And after a while, I found myself burnt out, feeling frustrated, feeling resentful of the person and also of myself. And so, like, an example was my fitness. Like, I would, especially when I was in the network marketing business industry and like building my business and had a team and was supporting people, I would say yes to everything. If they needed me, I was going to bend over backwards for them. And I was giving up my workout time. That was a red flag for me, was like, I guess I don't have to work out today. Like, I can go do this event or go take care of this thing. And after making that sacrifice over and over, it became a point of contention where I was mad at myself and I was frustrated because I was saying no to things that actually I valued at my core. Same with my family. My husband is like, why are you on your phone all the time? You're always on your phone. And I'm like, I'm sacrificing so that I can grow this big business and it won't always be like this, right? And it didn't really matter how many goals I achieved or how many bonuses I won or trips I earned. I was still never giving that time to my family and my husband. There was always that disconnect. So again, that resentment, that frustration, that burnout was welling up inside of me because I was building my life and business in a way that was not sustainable. It was creating conflict and creating stress and exhaustion and burnout instead of flowing in rest and peace and alignment. And so once I hit my breaking point and everything just like crashed down, right? I had to come back and pick up the pieces and ask myself hard questions of what did I actually value? Where was I saying yes to things that was actually not serving me? And what was I getting frustrated over by saying no multiple times? And so that's where I came up with my 5 categories. This is just an example. Name them whatever you want. I don't know, 5 to 7 probably is like a good number of core values, but find out what are your core values. What are those red flags when you say yes to something, but you also say no to something that matters to you? That's how you're going to identify these core values. Once you identify your core values, then I had to understand, okay, God, putting you back into this principle and this strategy, what does it look like to actually prioritize my life and business God's way? And this is what God revealed to me. And this is going to be completely opposite of the world, right? Because you see that you is at the very bottom. And in today's world and culture, and I actually had a hashtag that was hashtag self-love for a long time. And then God revealed to me that I am going to fill you up. Yes, you are still important. Yes, you still need to take care of yourself and steward your body and make sure you're having quiet time and, doing the self-care and self-love things. They're not bad in themselves. But if you're putting them as an idol above me, then that's not the way I want you to prioritize your life and business. So for me, God showed me that He is ultimately number one. And I had a lot of idols. I had a lot of things above God that I didn't really recognize as idols at the time until everything comes crashing down, right? And then you start to rebuild and you realize, oh, these are actually the priorities and these are actually the order that they should be. So putting God back as my master provider, my master for giving me love, my master to go to for comfort, for care, for filling me so that my cup overflows, right? And then putting my husband under God and making sure that my relationship with my husband was strong. Because if my marital relationship is not strong, then my family unit is not going to be strong. My husband and I are not strong, then how are we going to create an environment that allows Elijah to grow and thrive? So then it was, okay, get my house in order. Then God showed me my business. Once your family, your house is in order, then everything else is also going to fall into place. So making sure I am like showing up in the marketplace the way this is where God has put me. This is the one of the areas he's called me to steward. And then myself as last. And I think, right, we're supposed to die to ourselves. When I look at scripture, like this is proven over and over. The first shall be last and the last shall be first. And you're supposed to die to yourself and pick up the cross and do the things that God has given you to steward. So if this kind of rubs you in the wrong way, I just encourage you to seek God on what does that look like for you? What is God's priorities for you? This is what he revealed to me. And ever since I started building my life and business in this flow, there's been so much more peace and harmony in all areas of my life. So I would just encourage you to seek God on that. If you have been kind of hanging out in the self-love, self-care world, and this concept may be a little convicting or a little rubbing you the wrong way, I've been there. I totally know. I was like, what? Are you sure? And this is how God showed me, and I just encourage you to also try it out for yourself, because this definitely was a game changer for making decisions in my life and putting things in the right priority, so I wasn't feeling burnout and overwhelmed and frustrated and resentful, and my relationships are in harmony, and my business is also in harmony with how I'm operating now. So once you've identified your core values and you have the priority in alignment with God's version of priorities, then I encourage you to create goals and non-negotiables within each areas of those buckets. So for example, right, like my faith bucket, my goals and my non-negotiables would be doing daily devotionals or morning, having quiet time with God, whether it's in the morning, in the middle of the afternoon, or before bed, depending on life with a toddler goes, right? So, but making sure my non-negotiable is I am at some point in my day cutting out time to work on my relationship with God. It's also making sure I'm prioritizing church and listening to a sermon and growing in community with others in my faith. Another like core value non-negotiables is like listening more to Christian music or listening to Christian podcasts or something that's bringing me closer in my relationship with God and helping me renew my mind and stay in alignment with the Holy Spirit versus being stuck in my flesh. So that's an example of like non-negotiables for that. An example for non-negotiables and core values for my fitness bucket would be working out 3 times a week and eating like a Bible-based diet, taking supplements that support my immune system. And then the last example I have for you guys is I want to be present with my family when it's time to be present with my family, and I want to be present in my business when it's time to be present in my business. Right now, my worlds are literally conflicting because I'm trying to do both things. But typically how I like to operate is I'm mom mode in the morning, and my husband he works night shifts. So in the afternoon when he wakes up, he typically, like, he's off today, so he should have been here watching Elijah for me. And there's a little bit of internal conflict because my son's over here crying and I want to like serve him, but I also am here to serve you guys. So that's an example of where it doesn't always work 100% of the time, but I can be intentional most days where I schedule my calls. I do my client calls when I know I can be 100% present for those client calls. While he's at preschool, I utilize that time And so that's how I typically like to operate when it comes to on my lap. Remember, mommy's working right now. So, those are examples of how you can create goals and non-negotiables in each of your buckets. Let's take like a quick 2-minute break. And let me just make sure he's okay. 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 Is everybody back? Okay. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today on this wild ride that I'm on. Okay, so we have our non-negotiables for our core values. So once you have written each of those out, now what you need to do is actually audit your calendar. And I encourage you to do at least a quarter back, if not 6 months back, when you audit your calendar, and just identify what are all the projects, the commitments that you're working on. And then ask yourself these questions. Do you actually need to be doing them all? Can you simplify any of them? Can you delegate some of them? And I like to use the 3 Ds. So ditch, delegate, do. What are things that in your life, in business? I'll help you in just a minute. I wet. You're wet? Yeah, I wet here. I wiped it off. I wet. Why don't you go play with your cards for a minute and then mommy's almost done. Mommy, bless his heart. I mean, a 3-year-old hanging out while I'm doing a 3-hour workshop, which I'm hoping we'll finish a little bit early because we are ahead of schedule. So we might actually finish closer to 4. So the 3 Ds: ditch, delegate, do. Are there things in your life that are no longer serving you? Do you want to come sit on my lap? Honey, you're doing okay. I'm really proud of you. Mommy will play cards with you in a little bit, okay? You're doing really good. I love you. There's things in your life that maybe you don't need to take with you in this next season. And it may have been a good thing for you in the past. Chase you. Chase you? Yeah. I'll chase you in a few minutes, okay? I promise. You. I love you. Can you sit with mommy for a little bit? You. I know. And not everything can come with you into this next season. And especially if you're wanting to scale and grow your business, there are going to be some things that you just can't, there's not capacity for it. And it's not going to really serve you in this next season of growth. So what are things that you just need to say no to and walk away from? And examples of that for me in my past have been, I have been on leadership. I've been on leadership committees before, or I was doing extra coaching things and I had to like reevaluate, is this going to continue to be what I need to pour into, or was this just for a certain time in my life to learn and grow, and now it's time to like cut that. So like at the end of last year, I stepped down from a field advisory board that I was on. I was coaching first responders, and that was just like not really, it sounded like a really good thing. I wanted to like pour into that community because of my husband, but I'm just like, I'm just not equipped. Their trauma is hard. And I'm just like, being married to a law enforcement spouse, like, and also hearing people's law enforcement or first responder trauma, like that was just not healthy for me. So recognizing, hey, it was a great opportunity and it was good at the time, but it's not going to be something that's going to be healthy for me to continue on. So those are examples of things that I had said yes to in the past that were not going to go with me into this year. Other examples of simplifying would be, I used to do a podcast every week, and I was doing the editing and scheduling and doing marketing for it, and it became so time consuming that I really wasn't doing any high income producing activities. And so I had to simplify that. And now my sister and I do our podcast twice a month. I do one episode and she does one episode. I can batch them, and I take care of the marketing for mine and she does the marketing for her episodes and like editing them and scheduling them. So that's an example of kind of like delegating and simplifying things that, this podcast is just a free resource. It's not, again, an income producing activity necessarily. Like, yes, it's a great collaboration tool, but it's not going to take me to that next level. So pouring time and capacity into it, really, I had to step back and be like, okay, this is not necessarily a high priority for me. It's still something I want to pour into. I don't want to completely shut it off, but I don't need to be giving as much time and priority as I do other things in my life. And then things like delegating. So I recently just hired a VA to help me with messaging people, to stay on top of my messenger, because that is like not a strength of mine right now with a 3-year-old. Like, I was like a week, it'd be like a week before I'd respond to somebody. So training somebody and even just having them help with just introduction messages or just more of the simple messages that you need to keep your business going and keep networking with people, but recognizing this is a weakness of mine right now where I can't pour into all of the messages. And so I need help in this area. So delegating somebody to help me with that task. So I just want to give you guys examples of, once you audit your calendar, here's how to identify, okay, is this still working for me? Is this going to take me to that next level of growth that God is leading me on? Is this still serving me, or has it served its purpose already? And then, do I need to ditch, delegate, or do? And recognizing now that you have your core values, you have your non-negotiables in place, you've restructured your calendar to support your core values and priorities. Now, when opportunities come your way, you have a guideline to say no. And no is a complete sentence. And not every opportunity is for you. There's been people reach out to me wanting, I've written 2 books already, and I've had people reach out and wanting to do book collaborations, and I'm just like, this sounds amazing. I could totally pour into it. I could totally do it. But in this season of life right now, this is not a priority for me, and it's going to cause me burnout and frustration and cause me to say no that things that are priority and core values of mine, and it's not for me in this season. So because I've had these foundations in place, when things come, when opportunities arise, I can now put them up against my boundaries and make healthy decisions based on my healthy boundaries and priorities and goals for my family and my business. And now everything gets to flow together instead of come into conflict. And that's the beauty of building your life and business in synergy. So you're operating in flow instead of in conflict. Okay, so let's see. So I would love for you guys to share any takeaways that you had from this last lesson of building your life and business in in synergy. Were there any aha moments? Have you done this before?
I think it was really good to evaluate the last 6 months of my calendar because that really identifies where a lot of those priorities lie. Some, yeah, when we're operating out of conflict, I did that for way too many years. It does not feel good. But it was interesting to go back and look at my calendar and like, oh, okay, there's still some areas in there that need some tweaking.
Yeah. What do you have like any areas that you see off the top of your head or like off the top of your calendar that you're like, oh, this is definitely in conflict with my core value?
Yeah, I think honestly, a lot of it is not scheduling in my priorities in there. Like I'll just
Mhm.
schedule in the things that need to be done for work, appointments and things like that. But if I don't schedule in that um, the time with God, family time, taking rest time, scheduling even Sabbath, just as like
Yes.
allowing things to fall into my Sabbath schedule like that it just was a good reminder because I think otherwise there's a lot of wasted hours
Hmm.
that things are falling into those hours that I think I'm so busy, but I'm actually just not planning ahead.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I think that is also like when you've audited your calendar and now you're building your calendar back out in alignment with your core values, you are scheduling those date nights with your husband. You are scheduling those girls' nights. You are scheduling those vacations. You're scheduling the time for rest, the quiet time. You are scheduling your workout time. So then when somebody's like, hey, I need XYZ from you, and you can be like, oh, I'm already booked for that time. Let's reschedule for another time. And it makes it so much easier to say no to things and reschedule them. And people will usually, if you say, like, oh, I already have something booked at that time, you don't have to tell them what it is, if it's your workout or if it is just like a date night or a quiet time. um like one of the big things that I did this year was create white space where I don't take calls on typically on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays unless it's like like my feedback calls. I'm opening up Mondays next week, but typically I only do clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and cutting out nighttime clients has been huge for me this year, where I used to take clients from 8 to sometimes 11 o'clock at night, and I was just like, this is not sustainable. And especially with Elijah being harder to put to bed in this season, like it was stressful for me to throw him in his bedroom while he's still screaming and then go on a coaching call, right? So that is something I've had to even evaluate. And my core values don't change, but the way they look in different seasons can change. So, an example I like to give for my workouts is I used to love going to pure barre classes. Like I grew up doing dance and ballet, and then I had like a baby. We adopted Elijah, and and then COVID hit. Like that was not, I couldn't go to the classes. I didn't have time to, like, it would be like an hour and a half, 45-minute class plus like 30-minute drive time. That's just not feasible. So now my exercise is like walking 2 miles, pushing him in the stroller, or doing a YouTube workout. I meet with a trainer once a week for 30 minutes, and half the weeks he comes with me because of my husband's schedule. Um, so it looks completely different, but my core value of still moving my body is the same. So that's also, I'm glad that came up because I forgot to mention that in the lesson part, is that your core values will still be the same, but also evaluating what season of life are you in and still making priorities for your core values, but how do you execute them or what they look like can shift, and giving yourself that permission to shift with your seasons of life. Um, and that's been huge for me with this season, with being stay-at-home mom. We're renovating our house, and we're further away. And so creating, like, I'm so glad at the beginning of the year I set Monday, Wednesday, and Friday apart to have more white space to do desk work, to do more, have more freedom if we just want to randomly go fishing or something, you know, like Jeremy works weird schedules, so like I can work with his schedule and create that family time where it looks like a 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, you know, on a Wednesday, and other people are doing day dates like on Friday nights. So like that is the beauty of, okay, I know my core values and now I have my calendar to support those priorities and core values. And I'm able to still do my business stuff when I need to do my business stuff and create space for my family time in a way that works for my family's schedule. And that like when you can get to that place with your calendar, it like you will feel the rest, you will feel the peace, you will feel the flow, and things will just kind of fall into place naturally because you're creating space for them to do that. Like I've had clients that have daytime hours too, and it's been awesome. Like I've set that boundary, and then the clients that I'm attracting are clients that, like Linda, we can meet on a Thursday at 3 p.m. and I can be done with my work day on Thursdays, typically at 4. She's in my workshop today instead of meeting. Typically her and I get together on Thursdays from 3 to 4. And then once I'm done with her call, I'm pretty much done with calls for the day, and I can go do things, cook dinner and go into mom mode again. So yeah, that is the beauty of what I want you guys. This is foundational principles that if you want to grow a sustainable business online, you need to have these pillars in place. Otherwise, you will burn out. You will get back into hustle and grind mode. You will say yes to things that are not for you, and you'll get back into frustration mode and resentment mode of yourself and of the person that you said yes to. And I want you guys to build successful, profitable, legacy-filled businesses, but I don't want you to do it at the risk of sacrificing your time with God, your time with your family, your health. I want you to build a business that is in alignment with your time with God, where you're seeking God first. You have that partnership with Him. So part of your quiet time may also be a business meeting with God, and you're prioritizing that. And then you also are not sacrificing the whole reason, your whole why for building a business in the first place, which is to have time and financial freedom, which is to support your family, which is to support your community. But if you're beating yourself to the ground, trying to serve everybody and meet everybody's needs, and not creating space for rest and fitness and fun and enjoying the things in life, what is the point of having a successful business if you're like going to die early, your health is crap, and you have no relationships left, right? So let's build our life and businesses in synergy where everything is flowing together. Our priorities are in alignment with God's priorities, and we'll be able to create and multiply what God has given us to steward. What are there any other takeaways or ahas that you guys had from this core value exercise? Okay, so as we go into our last like exercise and reflection, I want to give you guys space to actually write down your core values and build in your non-negotiables for those core values. So I'm going to put some music on, and we'll take about 10 minutes for this exercise.
broken world is breaking me down. When my tears and knees both fall to the ground. When my questions make me doubt you more than ever. You remind me that your answer's always never. Never forgotten, never forsaken, never abandoned, not for a second. I am safe in your hands, always and forever. You're never not working, my heart is the proof. There's not a broken too broken for you. Yes, you do. To those who are thirsty, you're a fountain, and living water, it flows from you. I got your invitation that you could set me free. I can't believe you do that for me. You say your yoke is easy. You say your burden's light. You take a soul that's weary, give comfort every time. And when my heart is heavy, I know without a doubt there's nothing you won't carry. So, oh Lord, I lay it down. I lay it down. I lay it down. Oh Lord, I lay it down. The devil, he knows he can't touch me, 'cause Lord, you bought me with your blood. Oh, the guilt and the shame, they roll right off me, till all I carry is your love. Oh, you say your yoke is easy. You say your burden's light. You take a soul that's weary, give comfort every time. And when my heart is heavy, I know without a doubt there's nothing you won't carry.
All right, ladies.
Oh Lord, I lay it down.
Let's come back, and who would like to share their core values and one of their bucket non-negotiables? Go, Don.
You want me to do all 5 of them or just like one of them?
Share all your core values, and then just
Okay.
choose which bucket to share some non-negotiables.
So I've always had the same 5 that you said: the faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. The one I'm gonna share is faith, because that's the one I've been working on the most lately. And part of it helped with that 6-week challenge we just did. So now I do my alone time first thing in the morning. I go to church every Sunday, and everything I do is centered around Christ. So
Awesome.
those are my non-negotiables.
Good. I love that. Were there any that you struggled coming up with non-negotiables with?
No, that was just like no-brainer for me.
Good. Awesome. All right. Who else wants to share their non-negotiables or their core values?
I mean, mine are pretty much like the same basics, like putting God, family, my workouts, health, making time for finances, and then and then my work. And I just kind of put together like my ideal work week of what it would look like when I'm adding all of that stuff onto there. It just helps everything feel less overwhelming.
Yes.
You know.
Good. What about you, Stacy?
I basically did the same. I did God, family, fitness, the business fun. Some of the non-negotiables I wrote, I actually didn't write that part down until Dawn said something, but doing the devotions, doing the workouts. I think probably what was like a big aha just in this last lesson for me was just I'm always saying yes to everyone. And like I've had someone texting me today, and I've told them like 3 times I'm in a meeting, like I'm in a conference, And so really I just need to not respond and like set the boundary hard. So I think just working on those kind of things. And I like the white space idea where this is, I used to work, well, I started working out, and then now that I've kind of been going back and forth from different places, I cut it out, but it was mainly just because people were like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? So it was like cutting into it. So I think kind of getting back onto where I'm putting in some hard boundaries. I kind of went, as far as core values go, I really wanted to focus a little bit more too, like on like character traits kind of too, like what are things that I really want to focus on personally. So just, perseverance, faith, kindness, happiness, those kind of things. So that's kind of the direction I was working on.
That's awesome, Stacy. Thank you for sharing it. I love the idea that you took it to with the character growth in each area. So I love that. Good job. All right. I know Don's in the car. Tesla. Linda, do you have anything that you want to share? Because I would love to hear if anything changed from our first session like 16 weeks ago.
No, I know. Really, not much has changed. Faith is absolutely first, but interestingly so is just really time blocking it in my schedule because I work such various hours and I'm home and working from home a lot of times people, and of course I say yes to things when I probably should say, you know what, this is not a good time for me. Let me get to you at this time or whatever, so that's been really, really important for me to just really prioritize time blocking and stick to it. And so that I can stay on track with my core values, just really being present in each area is also, because before I tried to juggle it all together and it was hard to be present in that, or effective at all.
Yeah. Time blocking is a huge strategy because, right, it does allow you to be 100% present in that block of time for that specific priority. So I definitely recommend time blocking, even if it is time blocking the white space, so that you can be like, that is one of my struggles is I'll time block white space and then I'll fill it with stuff other people need or whatever, so that's why like rest has been such a priority of mine and operating from a place of rest. It doesn't mean you are operating, you're idle necessarily. Like obviously like Sabbath rest is different from operating in just a spirit of rest where you're going through the work you're doing with a peace, with just like a stillness in your spirit versus anxiety and hustle and grind. And so that's like, this helps you get to that spirit of rest and operating from there. When you're able to really time block these different priorities and then focus on them, and you're not feeling overwhelmed and you're not feeling like you've stacked all these things on top of you. So I think that's a really great point, Linda. Thanks for sharing that. And I think as a work from home entrepreneur, it is difficult because your office is your home, where your family is. And so that's also why it is important if you can find an office space, like mine's under construction right now. So I don't have a door and I'm in the corner of a basement right now. But typically I have a designated space where I can go and shut the door. And my family knows like that is my business time. And that is my priority and focus on that time. But then they also know when I'm not in the office on a regular circumstances, that I am spending time with them. I put my phone down, like we watch a movie together, we go on a walk together. I'm gonna play with Elijah after this because he's been so good at, letting mommy work. So yeah, like creating those boundaries. I think if you're working from home, if you can have a designated space where the people in your environment also know like, hey, when I'm in this chair, it's business time. And you have to set those boundaries. You have to have those conversations to set the boundaries with the people. That I think is another key thing. Like if you're having these beautiful boundaries and non-negotiables, but you're not actually sharing them with the people who will potentially come in conflict with, that is like probably a step I need to add to this, is set your non-negotiables, then actually have conversations with the people it may impact. Because now you're putting up these boundaries, and if they haven't been there before, and these people are expecting you to behave a certain way, and now you're all of a sudden changing it, that will cause conflict in relationships. But if you can have the conversation and share, like, hey, I'm not rejecting you, I'm not telling you no, I'm just saying in this space, I need you to respect this space that I'm building out, this time that I'm building out to do this specific activity. But I do want to give you that time. I do want to give you priority in my life because I still value you. So like with children or with spouses, especially if you're working from home, having those conversations to be like, hey, this is a goal that we're working on together for mommy, for wifey, to build this business, right? For the family and for these bigger goals. And so I need you to respect these boundaries. With that being said, I want to also create space and time for our relationship and to do these activities together. So that will be a huge, and I know you have your grandson and your daughter too, Linda. So having those conversations, and I think you have had some of those conversations, right? Do you want to share with the group on how those have gone and if it's helped?
Yeah, it's definitely helped because I'm here and they didn't really realize my time blocking schedule. It would just be assumed, oh, mom will do it, and it was just very helpful to say, hey, look, I'm available this time to this time, and I'd be so excited to spend time with you, but right now I've got to get this done. And it was really, really helpful. Such a great piece to put in place. Other than that, I was feeling frustrated because I wanted to be helping, and yet I was frustrated because I needed to get things done and accomplished as well. So it was definitely good to be able to communicate that for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. You just like totally summed up my whole training in that one piece. Okay. Well, ladies, that is day one. That is all I have for day one, unless you guys have any other takeaways or shares that you want to speak before we hop off. I do want to give you a challenge for tonight. As you are going to sleep, as you're finishing your day, I want you to think about what would it look like to have your dream business where you're working in partnership with God and all your needs and your priorities are being met, and how it would change the quality of your life. And then tomorrow I want to come back and discuss what that vision looked like for you. Tomorrow also is really important for you guys to be on time because we're going to be covering systems, and we're going to have the guest speaker, Aaron Jennings, who's the owner of Scalability, and he's going to start at 4 p.m. So definitely make sure to be present before. We're almost done, buddy. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. And we finished up about 30 minutes early, which is perfect. So thank you so much. Yes. Bye, Jody. Bye, Linda and Stacy. All right. Have a great day.